What's up, guys? Today I'm gonna wire a 150cc quad. These people actually called me, or they text me. I sold these people a quad to start with, but I sold them a 110cc. But I know 125 and under cc Chinese quads. The wiring harness is simple to me, and these people called me and told me they had a 125cc. If I could work on it and get it to work better, or they text me actually. They had my number from buying a previous four-wheeler from me, but they asked me if I could fix everything that's wrong with it, get it running before Christmas, because it's going to be a gift for one of their kids. And I said, yeah, sure. And I get there. When I first get there, I'm like, that thing's massive. Like, there's no way that's a 125cc. And unless they put a 125cc on a bigger frame. But I get there, I look at the engine, and I was like, that's not a 125. I instantly knew it wasn't a 125. And I started looking at the rating plate, and it's a 150cc GY6 engine. I've never done a wiring harness on this, but if you're watching this video, it's because I figured it out. I looked at all the components already in it. This section, the wiring harness, complete wiring harness. I looked at all the components, so I know it's really similar to a 110cc. So I'm just gonna go through the entire breakdown and show you guys exactly how to wire this step by step, how to troubleshoot it, how to bypass the brake system. Anyways, the very first thing I'm going to do is remove all these plastics. From what I looked up, these 150cc's, all of them have a 8 coil stator. And I'm actually going to open this thing over here. I'm going to take it inside and do it on my kitchen table so I can lay it all out just like I did in the other video, and I can show you guys step by step on how to connect everything before you install it on your quad. I always say, take off the plastics. It's just way easier to work around everything. It'll take a few minutes to get them all off, but then it's worth it. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these plastics, take this inside. I'll be right back with you guys. So I got the wiring harness completely off. Everything's taken apart. But this thing is just caked in dust. I just sent the owner a message asking her if she would pay a little extra so I could power wash it and make it look nicer. To be honest, even if she doesn't pay the extra 20 to at least power wash it, then I'm gonna do it anyways because it's a fucking nightmare to deal with all this dust. Also, it looks like they recently changed the air filter and the carb. They don't have the correct hardware on the carb. What the fuck did these people do? Multiple colored fuel lines. This stuff is just fucking garbage. In fact, I'm afraid if I push it too hard, it's just gonna snap. They have it on a petcock. The fuel filter. Oh no, I thought they had the fuel filter backwards. But they don't. Anyways, now I'm gonna start the wiring process. I'm gonna take this to the car wash, power wash it, and then I'll be back. So I left my truck on so it would be nice and warm when I got back in there, because it's gonna be cold as shit power washing this thing. Look at this. What is this? What the fuck is this? Picasso. Anyways, power washing this bitch. It's gonna be miserable. So I'm going to do this the same way I did the wiring harness for the smaller Chinese quads. This one's for 150cc, just a reminder. So I'm going to go ahead and pull everything out and go through all the components real quick. This is the main wiring harness, which you can tell which is the front and which is the back by looking at where your battery cables are at. That's these two. The fuse. I'm actually gonna cut this off. Actually, you know what? Maybe I just peel it off real quick so I don't have to run and get scissors. Okay. I'm gonna peel this off real quick. Don't need that, plus I kind of like these wires loose. Give me more room to play with. So here's the main wiring harness. This is your ignition switch. That's off, that's on, that's your start button. Lights, all the good stuff. That's a choke. The carb that I ordered doesn't have a choke on this, but I'm pretty sure you can just unscrew this and remove this part. So it's just gonna be a manual choke. It's your spark plug. I'll go ahead and stick this in the boot so I can test for spark. It has a little cap on the end, just gotta pull that off. It's a damn nice spark plug, if I'm being honest. Your ignition coil, your spark plug boot. I'm just gonna shove this in there. That's the little cap that comes off it. Throw that. That's gonna go in the trash. Now this should slide right in. Ignition coil, spark plug. Your CDI box, as you notice, it has a 4-pin connector and then a 2-pin connector. That's for a 150cc. The 125 and under Chinese wiring harnesses don't have that. Your ignition, or your key. Comes with 2 keys, kind of nice. Literally looks like the exact same one on a 125 and under. Your starter solenoid. Your rectifier. Rectifier looks a little different than they do on the smaller quads. And then your stator. As you notice, it has 8 coils on it. And all this is going to mount inside of your stator cover, which I'll show you how to do that in a minute. The only thing I'm going to leave loose on this is the stator cover, but I'm still going to show you where it goes. So your ignition and all that is going to go towards the front of the wiring harness. By the way, there's only one way to plug this in, so you can't really mess it up. If you mess it up, God bless you. So look for a 6-pin connector. As you notice, there's no other 6-pin connectors in the front. There's your 6-pin connector. This one's a 4-pin, and this is actually for a headlight, but this one doesn't have a headlight. Or it has headlights, but they don't work. Your rectifier, it looks like a 6-pin connector, but it's actually only 4 pins, and that goes towards the back. There's only 4 pins in that one. Your ignition, your solenoid, your starter solenoid, that goes towards the back also. Oh, by the way, when you're doing this, make sure all these wires are matching up. This is gonna be yellow, yellow, green, green. That's like a pinkish white, like a really light pink to a white. Red, red. But for the most part, they're gonna match up almost exact. A red and yellow and a green and yellow. The reason I'm saying this is because I've actually seen these switched, not specifically on this part, but I've seen it on certain parts, like where like the green will be on this side, the red will be on this side, and you can't figure out what the issue is. So while you're putting all this together, just make sure it all matches. Your ignition coil, your ignition coil goes on the front, and this is a little different than a 110cc. And this is going to be green on green, which is your ground. You're just going to slide it in there, and then your black on your black. Slide that in there. And that's going to go towards the front also, because that's going to go into your engine where your spark plug goes. Your CDI box is going to go on the front, and these connectors are a little different. They're rounded. And this is a 4-pin connector and a 2-pin connector, but it is not actually a 4-pin connector. If you look at this, only 3 of the pins are being used, and there's only one way to install this. So Go ahead and push that into place. And then you have another 2-pin connector right next to it, and there's also only one way to put this in. And then your key is going to go on the front also. And you're looking for another 4-pin. Here it is. Make sure your wires matching: green, green, black, black, black and white, red and red. And I believe that is everything. Your stator is actually going to go back here. Only 3 of the wires are being used. Why does this look funky to me? Oh, here it is. Okay. So you're gonna have, oh yeah, here's a easy way you can tell. Because it has a loose blue wire and a loose red wire. Here's a loose blue wire and a loose black and red wire. Those are actually gonna go together. So that's gonna go in here. That's gonna go in there. I'm not gonna put those in yet. And then this, it looks like a 4-pin connector, but only 3 of the pins are being used. So look for a green, a white, and a yellow. And that's this right here. And then that's gonna go into place right here. But I'm not gonna put that on yet, like I said. Here's a ground and a yellow, but these I'm pretty sure go to your brake. I believe it goes to your brake. So I'm gonna take this outside and install it. I'll be right back. Actually, you got a phone with me. I forgot one part. I'm gonna go ahead and loosely install this. This is gonna go to your battery. This is gonna go to your battery. These 2 wires are gonna go to your battery. Make sure you hook up all your grounds, because if you don't, you're gonna have issues. I'll tell you right now, you end up melting this entire wiring harness. But one side is gonna go to your ignition coil. One side from your battery, one side goes to the battery, the other side goes to the ignition coil, and then you have this side that goes to your starter and to your ignition coil. But I'm gonna go ahead and loosely put that on right now. Alright, so I'm gonna take this outside and we'll go ahead and get this installed. Alright guys, so I just got back from the car wash. This thing cleaned up pretty nice. There was just so much buildup on it that like it was almost impossible to get it completely clean. But I just spent a little more than I normally do. But it is what it is. Anyways, I'm back. The first thing I'm gonna do is install this stator. And I'm gonna grab tools and get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take off these plastic covers, because the stator's under here. These are actually the wires that run to the stator. Looks like somebody's already torn into this too. Okay, so that popped out. You're gonna have a key shaft right here. That's your 8-coil stator. I don't think it matters, but I always look at the way this is going when I take it off. And I always, oh, it's not gonna turn on the thing. Anyways, we're getting there. So, this is your coil. and it's actually got cobwebs on it. Like bunch of spiders living in there. Okay, so you're gonna have two 8mm bolts there, two 8mm bolts on that bracket, and that bracket's to hold this wire down, and then two 8mm bolts here, and then it's literally just gonna pop out. Make sure you put that grommet back. That's to keep any dust and everything out of your stator. And while you're in here, just go ahead and like clean it all out. Wipe it out as good as you can. And yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. Now your coil is out. Yeah, there's literally cobwebs and like spider eggs and stuff in here. And it's wet. Oh, probably got wet when I power washed it, I bet. I hope that's why it got wet at least. Alright, let me get a towel to wipe that out real quick. I know these people aren't ever cheap with me. That's another reason why I'm using that much brake cleaner. Because these people are actually willing to pay for the work being done. Also, I want to do a good job. Alright. So now grab your new coil. Slide your new coil into place. When you're putting all these bolts back in, make sure you hand thread them first. Because if you strip one of those, it's a motherfucker to fix it while it's on, while the engine's on here. By the way, take pictures or learn from my mistakes. I had this upside down. That magnet's supposed to be flipped around. Once you hand thread it, you can go ahead and tighten it with an impact. Not more than a couple ooga doogas on this. That should be good. Ready to roll, baby. So there's a little key right here. You need to make sure this key lines up with that key, or else it will not go on. Slide your washer. Why did that slide over? Oh, that's not even the washer. There's your right. Make sure you put your washer back on there. And then tighten it back down. Look at the manufacturer's specs if you don't know how much it's supposed to be torqued. I just make sure it's goods and tight. Okay, so I have that back on. Now I need to put this back on. Cover back on. I only took a bolt out of here, a bolt out of here, and that screw was missing. So make sure you're not impacting the shit out of it. Okay, stator's replaced now. Okay, so I installed the stator's on the other side. I just flipped the bike around so I can give you guys a better view. But this is actually your wiring harness that we put together on the table inside. The very first thing I do is come to the front. There's a black wire. There's a black wire and then a green and yellow. Your green and yellow are going to go to your, you can either put them together to bypass them like this and hold them together, or just hook them up and then squeeze your brake and lock your brake into place. But first thing I'm going to do is connect the green and the yellow with the green and yellow to the brake switch, and then connect the two black wires. And I already have my brake locked into place, so I don't have to worry about that. After you got both those wires connected, next thing you want to do is this is how you're going to check for spark. I always check for spark before I before I fully install everything. Everything's already hooked up, so you don't have a lot to do now. Right now, I know we loosely installed this earlier, but right now I'm going to tighten this. And this side is going to go to my battery. And this other one goes to the starter. You want to make sure those are fairly tight. I'm not going to hang any of this just yet. Next thing you're going to do is connect your stator. And our stator connections are in the middle on this wiring harness. So I am going to have to drag this up a little bit. So your stator is a 3-prong plug on this, 3 prongs here, and then only 3 of the connections are being used on your stator. And then you have a blue wire and red and black. Connect those to the correct ones. On this wiring harness, it's red, but I think typically it's red and black. And then go ahead and do your blue and white together. So you have that connected. I'm gonna hang this up here just for the time being. You know what, I'm gonna hang it right here just for the time being. I just wanna make sure it's not hitting anything else or short or jumping while I'm trying to start this, or make sure it's turning over. You get this is the one with your spark plug already in it. It's your rectifier over here. It's your rectifier. This ground is gonna go to your battery. And then you're going to grab your other cable from your ground that, this one had tape on it inside, but I took it off. You're going to hook that up to the negative side of your terminal. By the way, make sure your battery is fully charged, or else you're going to be bummed out when you get to this point if you have a dead battery. Then you're going to grab your positive. One part goes to the wiring harness, the other part goes to your starter solenoid. You're going to connect that to the positive end of your battery. Make sure you have a tight connection there. And I do believe that's everything you need right now to start this up. Make sure your ignition is on. That's this. And then this, you're gonna have, this one says turn and a horn, but usually it'll have like a off switch or on switch, and then like your on's gonna be in the center. Your left and your right, if you go like this, that turns it off, or it kills power. That's going to be your start switch. That actually kills spark, actually. So if you push this button in, you hear it click, and then, I forgot to hook up the other ground. You don't want to miss any grounds because you will fry your wiring harness if you do. And this ground, I'm just going to connect it anywhere right now. Anywhere with a clean, good ground. I'm just doing it on a bolt that's on the engine, but that's usually typically where I connect all grounds. I want to make sure that's tight. So now essentially, this should turn over. Push that button in. So you know your wiring harness is working correctly. Now you're going to check for spark by putting this on a piece of the engine. I don't know if you can see that right here, but I have a really good spark. Okay, so we know that's working. So your spark, your wiring harness, everything is working correctly. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay it on here and button it up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side. I'm going to start buttoning everything up. I'm going to disconnect the battery before I button everything up. And when I say button everything up, I literally leave everything connected. I lay the wiring harness across the frame and I zip tie it, but I don't zip tie it to where it's firm. I zip tie it just to where it's not going to fall down. Oh, but doing all these steps before you have your harness fully installed and assembled, it'll just save you a lot of time just in case you have to do any troubleshooting. Like on this one, I actually found out that I had a bad ignition switch. This one, it took me like an hour to figure out, but at least I didn't have everything buttoned up and I wasn't having to cut zip ties and all that other stuff. But now that I know everything's working, I can go ahead and start the zip tie process. So this, typically I just have this bunch literally right at the end of the frame. And I make it tight to where, I mean, I can still move it and still stick my finger in there in case I need to stuff any more wires through there. But the main idea is just to get everything off the ground so it's not hanging. So pretty much just do that for the rest of your harness. Make sure it's nice and neat. Leave your main harness a little loose just in case you can't reach the back tail light or whatever. You have a little bit of room for adjustment. But just go ahead and install the rest of them, and I'll be right back. Okay, so once you have all your wiring where you want it, everything's zip tied into place, go ahead and cut off all your excess zip ties. And before you go any further, because I've actually had some of these connections come loose before, just go ahead and give it a quick test. So we're good. Kill the power. And that's all it takes to wire a 150cc quad, Chinese quad. I will show a video of it running in a little bit. As long as you have compression and your spark is good, there's no reason your quad shouldn't run. And again, zip tie everything out of the way, make it nice, because whether you're selling it or you're keeping it, if you're selling it, you're trying to get your name out there. If you're keeping it, you want to make your stuff look nice. I'm going to go ahead and change out the spark plug. Actually, I'm going to check for compression real quick. Once it's warmed up, then I'll go back and readjust the carb again. So I do this in all my videos that I do where I'm doing the electrical. This is a 150 wiring harness, so I just want to prove that it's running and make sure, and just to show that all the electrical is working. Alright, if you guys have any questions about this wiring harness or any issues that I had, just leave them in the comments below, and I'll answer them as they come in.